Welcome to the voice of St. Anthony Parish from Allston, Massachusetts, right here on WROL, 950 AM, 100.3 FM. And you can also hear us at CatholicAudiomedia.com. That's CatholicAudiomedia.com. We've been talking for the past few days about signs of people you should not listen to. And mostly they're focused on teaching you to live a very strict life. They'll not talk to you about prayer. They'll not talk to you about drawing close to Christ. They'll be instead focusing on ideas like you're not working hard enough to get to heaven. Well, now let's go the other direction. What do you need to draw closer to Christ? And that's the element you want to look for. And that element is that you want to draw closer to Christ, so you want to open yourself up to those practices that may help you to do so. The first thing, obviously, is prayer. If you're not praying every day, this is a perfect time to start. And you don't have to spend time, an hour in front of the Blessed Sacrament, to call it prayer and call it adequate prayer. You just have to do any form of prayer where you pray to the Lord and you ask him to help you with your day. You ask him to lead you closer to you. That's a great start. So if you're not praying at all, that is a great start. And that's how I started in my road back to the church and eventually into the priesthood. So keep that in mind. Any form of prayer to the Lord is a powerful prayer. Now, the greatest attitude to have is humility. So if you recognize that need, then be humble before the Lord and ask him to help you. And your weaknesses become the Lord's strength. So if you recognize, in our culture right now, there's this whole concept of don't show your weaknesses. Your weaknesses lead us to build our strength. When we bring them to the Lord. St. Paul says in 2 Corinthians, for in weakness power becomes perfection. That was actually Jesus speaking to him. So, if you find yourself weak in an area, maybe you feel you're a weak parent, or maybe you feel you're a weak leader, or maybe even a weak pastor, or a weak whatever, bring that to the Lord, because in your weaknesses, that's where the Lord can work through you. Sometimes you might have someone who, especially if they listen to the other group I talked to you about earlier in the week, but sometime you may have someone who maybe they have some form of an addiction, and they've been doing great for months, maybe even years, and then all of a sudden they fall off the wagon. And it may be only a one-time thing, but that leads them into great despair. Well, that's where you can explain to the person that their weaknesses lead them to God, because, he still has this weakness, or she still has this weakness, that still has this desire to, experience what it is they are addicted to. And gosh, I think... Well, let's see, I've been off cigarettes for 41 years, and I think I still crave cigarettes for probably, I don't crave them as much anymore, but I think it was at least 30 years. 30 years, yeah. So, and explain to them that this is a weakness, and bring the Lord into that weakness so that he may empower them to continue on their trek. One of the things that is actually one of my favorite teachings I learned from someone else on the radio is Father Tom DiLorenzo. And he says, the devil's greatest tool is despair. So if you're doing well and all of a sudden you fall and you feel, I thought I'd be a better person, and you feel really bad and you go into despair, that's the sin of pride. So don't do that. Bring your weaknesses to the Lord. And that's an important aspect. If you're at home and maybe you have a son who is difficult to work with, or a daughter, you have a difficult child, and you don't know how to deal with them, bring that to the Lord. and bring that in prayer, because that's some of the most powerful things you can do. Now, how you treat that son or daughter, you want to treat as a child of God, but you want to be in touch with the Lord's wisdom of how you can do that. Because when you are in touch with the Lord's wisdom, He will guide you, but you may not recognize it at first. But act on it. Allow the Lord to work through you. And one of the most powerful things you can do, especially if you're going through a really difficult time with one of your children, very painful time, praise the Lord for that. Just bring it to the Lord and praise the Lord for that. And put it in the Lord's hands, and then ask the Lord to help you. Don't ever forget that Jesus needed help in his mission. He needed to pray every day. He needed the help of the angels in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he needed Saint Simon the Cyrene, his assistance in carrying his cross. Don't be afraid of reaching out to the Lord, asking for help. We'll talk more right after this. You can now leave a message for us, which we can air and discuss on this program. Just call 617-297-7452. That's 617-297-7452. 617-297-7452. Feel free to call, leave a comment, a question, or even feedback, and we may play it on the air. I can discuss your comment or question as well, so give that a try. 617-297-7452, 617-297-7452. Are you looking for guidance on how to live a purposeful and transformed life? Look no further than Romans 12, a chapter in the New Testament that offers practical wisdom for believers. Romans 12 begins with a powerful call to offer our bodies as living sacrifices to God, urging us to renew our minds and align them with His will. This chapter highlights the importance of humility, using our gifts for the benefit of others, and exercising genuine love. It teaches us to be diligent in serving the Lord, rejoicing in hope, persevering in tribulation, and being devoted to prayer. But it doesn't stop there. Romans 12 also teaches us to live in harmony with others, extending kindness and hospitality even to our enemies. It urges us to overcome evil with good and leave vengeance to God. So if you're seeking guidance on how to live a life of love, humility, and service, dive into Romans 12. Let its practical wisdom transform your life. Romans 12, a chapter that offers a roadmap to living a purposeful and transformed Christian life. Available now in the New Testament. Get your copy today. We're back, and we're talking about the important things of where to focus during Lent. So I talked on Tuesday about reading. No, not just spiritual reading. Read, some of the classics. Read a book that you've always wanted to read and never got around to it. Read the books you're supposed to read in high school. There's an idea. I can claim that reality that I haven't read some of the books I was supposed to read in high school, and I went to high school in the 1970s. But I read some of them. I mean, I loved The Great Gatsby, and I think I've read that several times. But in other words, look at something else that'll draw you closer to Christ. And by the way, if you do choose to read, you don't have to read something that is spiritual reading. You can read anything. You can, something that you've always wanted to read for a while, because you're also practicing something that is stopping a distraction that was bothering you when it became easy to just look at whatever happened to be on a video website. This is an important distinction. So build your prayer. Eliminate those things that distract you, and you may want to consider ways that you can help the poor. That's part of the prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. Almsgiving, of course, is giving to the poor. So you may want to look at that and see what kind of aspects that brings. And when you do that, and you are increasing your reaching out to others, you're increasing your opening yourself to the Lord, you're preparing yourselves for a transformative life when you reach Easter. And that's what Lent is all about. It's not just about giving something up because it's Lent, but it's about opening yourselves to the Lord and allowing yourself to glorify God in all that you do. And in doing so, you come to preach, to love, to serve, to honor God in a new and powerful way. What you want to see is that your Lent is very fruitful. And as a fruitful Lent, you want to experience the fruitfulness, the fullness of Lent, so that the Lord may increase your ability to serve Him. Remember, ultimately, what you wanted to see is this powerful message in the Lord. This power, what you want to see is that you are transformed in the Lord, that you are changed, that you are opens more to the Lord, that you become humble to the Lord, and you live in a whole new way because you understand in a whole new way. You have a deeper amount of wisdom. That's what you want to look at. That's what you want to understand. That's the fruit of Lent. Maybe on the slightest way, nothing necessarily big, but maybe on the slightest way, because the slightest change can be very powerful. And again, don't forget that thing that I talked to you about during the week. Do not forget that the reality of Jesus himself needed help to accomplish the task that God gave to him, that his Father gave to him. Therefore, he prayed every day. Therefore, he came to know the Lord. He came in contact with the Father every day. And he also needed help carrying his cross, and he needed help in the Garden of Gethsemane. And he also needed the assistance of the apostles. Do not forget that. We'll talk more on Monday. Have a blessed day. I want to call your attention to Catholic TV, which offers great faith-filled, family-friendly programming 24 hours a day. You can find your cable channel at www.getcatholictv.com, and you can watch online on the free apps or check out the YouTube channel. Daily Mass, Rosaries, the Divine Mercy Chaplet, and the Our Lady of Perpetual Help Novena are all available online and on demand. Check out CatholicTV.com. If you're searching for a meaningful spiritual experience, look no further than St. Anthony's Parish in Allston, Massachusetts. Join us at 43 Holton Street in between Soldiers Field Road and the Mass Pike. Immerse yourself in the complete St. Anthony's Parish encounter through our 10 o'clock a.m. chanted Mass. Whether you're a Catholic seeking a parish to call home or someone looking for spiritual guidance, our welcoming community is here for you. Visit our website at www.stanthonyalston.org for more information. St. Anthony's Parish, where faith finds a home.